before we talk about UkayUkay, I would like you to introduce yourself and what you do and what's your name, what you do, and maybe what's your connection to UkayUkay.
I'm Pilgrim Gayo, but it's better you call me Bim Bim because I'm more known as Bim Bim. I'm a child rights activist from the Philippines, and I work as the country coordinator for the Philippines of Terre, Home, Germany. I'm living in Quezon City in Manila. And I come from a family of very enthusiastic ukayistas, or people who love ukay-ukay.
To explain it for our for the listeners, maybe you can explain what is UkayUkay. What do the two words mean?
Okay, ukay-ukay basically means to dig through, like, or to sift through a pile, for example, and it basically describes how one chooses your clothes when you go to an ukay-ukay shop. So because the clothes are just piled on top of each other, so that you'd be able to find what you are looking for, you have to basically dive under the pile of clothes or dig under the pile of clothes. That's why it's called ukay-ukay. Yeah, but in other places, this ukay-ukay, they call it with different names. Like they also call it in other localities as pagpag. Pagpag means you dust off, because after you have chosen, then you dust off the clothes because it's been piled a long time. It tends to get dusty. But ukay-ukay is more well known, and it's the term that is more used in the Philippines.
And for me as a German, when how do I have to understand an UkayUkay store? What does it look like when I enter it?
I think in Germany you also have shops which sell second-hand clothes, basically, and ukay-ukay is basically second-hand clothes. But I think in Germany the second-hand clothes that you have they also come from Germany. And I've also visited some ukay-ukay shops in Germany. Like I also know that some people donate for refugees, for example. So, and I visited some shops which are selling these clothes, which they sell quite cheap, but these are mainly for refugees, right? You have this also. So it's basically the same concept, but in the Philippines, these second-hand clothes actually come from other countries, and they were intended to be relief donations for, we know Philippines is very prone to natural disasters or man-made disasters. So these were shipped from abroad to be used as relief items for communities who just experienced some disasters. And later on, when people discover, business-oriented individuals discover that it could be a good source of income, so these shops started to sprout. The shops that you see in Germany, like the second-hand shops that you see, the equivalent of that in the Philippines would be the higher class or higher level ukay-ukay shops, because The typical ukay-ukay shop would be just like an open stall in the market where they just set up like low tables, and then clothes are just piled on top of each other. And they would say that there are some selected items which are more expensive, and then these are the items which are in hangers. They are hanged already in these stalls, but normally these are basically just stalls in the middle of a market, public market in the province, in a village, especially if there is the fiesta or the anniversary of the patron saint, for example, and they are celebrating the fiesta, then you see more ukay-ukay. But basically, these are just an open hut with low tables and with clothes piled on top. So yeah, so that's how normally ukay-ukay look like. But as I've said, selected items are also sold in more like in boutiques, which are air conditioned, but prices would usually be like at least three times more expensive than the ones you can buy in the markets.
So basically, everyone everywhere in the Philippines, you can find a ukay-ukay store if you look for it.
Yes, everywhere. Like even in a village, especially in fiestas, as I mentioned, special events in a village or in a municipality, then there would be more ukay-ukay, but you would always find an ukay-ukay if you visit a city or like as a municipality. There would always be an ukay-ukay. And ukay-ukay shops can sell not only clothes, you can also get, starting from the head, you can buy hats, caps, you then, of course, the clothes, you can buy some bags as well, jackets, shoes, you can get shoes, and then they sell items which are for babies and also for adults. So you can, for all your fashion needs, you can find in the ukay-ukay. Some are also selling scarves or shawl. If you are an overseas Filipino worker, or if you're just some typical Filipino who's traveling abroad, you can also find winter clothes in the ukay-ukay, which are very good quality and also very fashionable. So for all your fashion shopping needs, you can visit an ukay-ukay shop.
And the ukay-ukay business for ukay-ukay owners is running well?
Based on the reports that I read, that it's a lucrative business. Otherwise, it wouldn't have sprouted all over the country if people don't earn money from it. So there were, based on the articles I've read, that the ukay-ukay business could actually earn a business person around 20,000 euros. 20,000 euros per day in total for the whole Philippines. I don't know how that would translate if you're just for like a one person who's into the business, but actually it doesn't require a lot of capital except how to get the clothes and to rent this small shop, and then also to hire some sellers to watch the shop. But as I've said, because these stalls are just very simple, the overhead cost in terms of rental, for example, and electricity or water, it's quite low. And then because as well that ukay-ukay is actually illegal, it's illegalized in the Philippines because um, they are first first they are, as I've said, they are considered as relief items, so they shouldn't be sold in the first place. But of course, once the business started, they have a way of going past the laws. So they could either be brought in as packages for relief or donations, or they could also be smuggled into the country. And as such, there are no taxes, especially if they are in balikbayan, like these boxes which overseas Filipino workers use to send to their relatives. So yeah, aside from the cost of buying the actual clothes, then it's really a lucrative business.
Is there a lot of clothes that are sold in the Philippines which are made in the Philippines, or is it mostly ukay-ukay?
Of course, we also have clothes which are produced here. But based on my impression that the clothes industry in the Philippines is mainly also for import. Like these are, for example, like Adidas, then they would have some subsidiary factories here. And our textile industry in itself is not as well developed as you would see in India, for example. But we do have our own textile industry, and actually it's one of the losers because of this ukay-ukay. It's a disadvantage for them, and the representatives of the textile industry are actually those who are opposing the legalization of ukay-ukay, because of course, if you're a person who needs to buy clothes, when you go to the ukay-ukay, you get clothes which are really of good quality, and the price is even less than half of the price you pay when you go to a mall. And if you are just very patient, you would get really branded items, which could even cost like 10 times more if you buy it in the shops or in the malls. So, like for me, I don't think I have ever bought clothes from the mall, not in the past 20 years that I shop for clothes in the mall, because it's really cheap, and then the clothes you get are nearly often, it's very rare that you get an item which there is a copy. So no risk that you would go somewhere and somebody's wearing exactly the same clothes. So if you are also a person who likes to explore your fashion style, so it's nearly every item you get is unique, because it's not like when you go to the mall, you look at an item and then there would be like 5 of the same, exactly the same garment or the same clothes which are hanging there. So yes, it's really a very good It makes clothes accessible to the public. And if you're on a tight budget, or even for really just those the fashionistas, people who are into fashion. So it's not only lower class people who are buying ukay-ukay, but also people who like to explore their fashion. But of course, you can go to the malls, and if you're very particular about branded items, then of course you can also buy. But especially with the Filipino mentality about this, very conscious about brand, then of course you can go to the mall. You can visit your H&M shop or whatever shops, Mango. I'm not really very familiar with this brand, but yeah, there are also a lot of clothes being sold here, mostly imported as well. So if you are looking for an imported item, why go to an H&M shop when you can go to also a certified imported item, which is the ukay-ukay.
And probably the experience is also way more interesting than going to a shopping mall to go to ukay-ukay.
Actually,
More...
it's very addictive to shop in an ukay-ukay. It's the experience of this hunting for the right item you're looking for, plus the combination that you are finding a quality item at a very cheap price. And it's really like treasure hunting. And like for me, in my family, we really go to ukay-ukay outings. And so when we are there, we help each other look for the clothes. And then when we arrive at home, when we reach home, even if the clothes are not yet washed, we would have really our own little fashion show where we try on all the clothes we bought. Like we show it to our mom, to our mother, and then we have to say, so look at that, and the price has to be said, like 50 pesos only. So it's a double achievement. You got a nice item and it's also very cheap. So it's addictive. It's addictive, which could also be a downside when you look at how the fashion industry is also one of the main producers of garbage in climate issue, climate crisis issue also. So actually now for myself, because it's really accessible economically, it's affordable, and I mean, if you're into fashion, then you also want to have new clothes, but it's also problematic then because you cannot justify anymore the buying, because before you would say, oh, it's anyway, I'm not contributing to the new production because this is secondhand, because I'm buying used clothes, so it's less sinful if I buy a new one. But actually also, if you look at your closet and it's so full, then it also doesn't make sense. So now I have a rule that I only buy if I also give away something. And it's also I think it's a developing practice now, like among my friends and like in my family, that we actually give away our clothes and then it's also like passing it on to the to others. So then it would be like a third hand clothes, and the quality is still good. So it's recycling it several times. But then again, if you look at the very front of this passing on, it doesn't actually solve the production of clothes, because if in the US, where the ukay are coming from, the items are coming from, it's actually not changing the patterns of the consumers, clothing consumers from developed countries, because they still, I mean, it's repeated. They try to justify, anyway, I donate my clothes, it's being recycled, people use it again, but it's still fueling the fashion industry.
I see.
That they continue to produce more clothes, which is still problematic at the end.
And what happens to clothes that aren't sold at the UkayUkay store?
Originally, the UkayUkay was also imported, brought into the Philippines to be used as rags, like rags, like floor rags like this. And it's also a chain. So like in the UkayUkay shop where I go, they say that clothes that they cannot sell here in Metro Manila, for example, then they would pass it on to the provinces, sell it again to the provinces. And I would assume that the basis for that is that the more picky consumers are in bigger cities, but if you pass it on to smaller cities, municipalities, or communities, they are less picky and it would still sell. And finally, for the end product, or for the leftovers which are not used, I would assume they are used for the first purpose that they were imported, which are for rags, to produce rags.
Okay.
I also want to add that politicians are actually not supportive of the ukay industry. As I said, it's illegal, but of course it's very visible, it's thriving. And the politicians' mindset is that it is very undignified to allow your citizens to wear secondhand clothes, which are donated for as relief items to the Philippines. So aside from arguments that they transfer diseases like skin infections, this national pride that they don't want Filipinos to end up wearing these clothes was also used as an argument not to legalize the ukay business.
So not all politicians are in favor of it.
Oh, and until now it's still illegal, although there have been bills which were filed in the Philippine Congress to make it legal. And the argument for that is that the country would really benefit from then the taxes which they could put into the importation of ukay-ukay. So these are the two sides of the argument for legalizing ukay-ukay, and those which are for its legalization. But so far, it's status quo. No law has been passed to actually make ukay-ukay legal in the Philippines.
Second-hand clothing in Germany is getting more popular, especially with the environmentalist movement. And do you have an advice how to get the best piece when you go for second-hand shopping?
Um, okay, so like because as I've described, an ukay-ukay shop in the Philippines can be many things, but usually these are just huts in the public market, for example. So you have to go there first prepared. You have to dress up, and because you need to try it on. And usually there are no suitable fitting rooms.
Mm.
So usually when I go, I wear fitting clothes so that when you put on something, it's easy to see the fit. And then you can wear tight fitting, like cycling pants, so that when you try on pants, for example, it's easier to find out if it's a good fit. So wear clothes that allows you to find the perfect fit for you.
Mm.
That's number one. And then it's also really important that you when you choose your clothes, make sure you have enough light. Most of these ukay-ukay shops are not well lighted, and because of that, you cannot see if a button is missing, if there are little tears, or for example, some stain, or it could be like discoloration on the clothes. So you have to give it one last good look with enough light. You can go out and really look at the material, that it's not faded as well. It doesn't look old. Of course, it's very important that if you buy ukay-ukay, it shouldn't look old. Um, so you have to have a very good look at the item you want to purchase. And if you are buying dresses which comes with belts, um,
Mm.
make sure that there is a belt, because usually belts are also missing, which is probably why it was given away in the first place. So that's the second tip. Make sure you give it a good look when you are selecting the item. And then so that you're able to also choose freely, make sure you go there also like just bringing your money and not bringing your valuables, like wearing too much jewelry, because then when you are putting on the clothes, then it's an additional worry for you that you have to look after your valuables. And it's good you come with a friend who knows your taste in fashion. Um, and because, as I've said, usually there are no fitting rooms, there are no mirrors, so it's good that a friend affirms, tells you that it's a good fit, um, it's perfect, no stains, everything is complete. And because you might also miss some things when you look at the item, so it's good if you come with a friend. And then um, once you have purchased the item, very important as well is how you how you prepare it, that you can really use it. Like it's important that you use color safe bleach to remove stains, also to make sure that the dust is removed, that if there are dirt or infectious germs on the item, it can be washed away with the bleach. And what else? What other tips? In some, if you go to the market ukay-ukay, bargaining is a must. And it's also part of the fun when you are able to bargain. And so you should bargain, like you start with half the price, and then if the shop owner doesn't agree, then you try to act like, okay, it's not so interesting for you anyway. You move away, and then you can haggle again, and then finally you would come to the price which you in the first place wanted to ask for the item.
I will take the advices for my next shopping tour, and we will. I think we can use the advice for the next clothes exchange party that we have.
Yes, but actually also one word of caution, because when you are also in the ukay shop, you tend to get carried away because it's cheap, and then and sometimes when you go home, you also get disappointed. Like, oh, what was I thinking when I bought this item? You and one of the main problem is that when you get home, you realize that there is actually no event or no occasion which you can use this particular item for. So I think when you go there, you should be very focused. If you're looking for a jacket, you should make sure that that's what you look for, and don't get distracted with all the other items that are being on sale.
That's a good advice that I will take to heart. Thank you.
Okay, good luck.
Yeah, I think I know everything I want to know about UkayUkay now. Thank you very much for the interview.
Okay, thank you.